Hey third graders, today we're talking about rocks. I've shown you 2 videos so far so that you know how to do clouds and mountains. Today we're talking about 2 different types of rocks. You've got a rock that is totally solid, or you might have a rock if you have arches where there is a missing center because it's an arch. I'm going to show you 2 different ways you can tackle these rocks so you can go forward. First thing you need to do is find the rocks paper on the front table. Please don't take the top paper, please take a paper underneath. Then I have to decide which type of rock am I trying to draw. Solid rock, arch rock. Solid rock, you're going to go ahead, take your pencil, start at the bottom of your paper, and draw the shape of the rock you want. Keep your shape simple. If you make that shape super duper bumpy, you're going to have to cut out all of those bumps. So make sure you're keeping it straight-ish, not too many crazy lines, and that is how you would do this type of rock. If you were thinking of doing an arch, you're going to have to do things a little bit differently, because if I drew it this way, I would have a piece that I would cut out, and that's going to get really confusing. So the best way to tackle an arch is to first draw the bottom of your arch. I drew the bottom here, the bottom here. Notice my bottom is not touching the bottom of my paper. I left some space. Then I'm going to go ahead and draw the arch part that is right here. And then I'm going to draw the outside of my arch here. So this is my arch in here. All around that is my negative space, and that's what I'm going to use. Then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take my scissors. For this guy, I have to be very specific about how I cut. I only want to cut one cut so that these all stay together. So first, I'm going to cut my inside. And I'm going to make sure I cut around the entire arch with keeping this part in one piece. Slow and careful, do a nice job. This is your rock. You want it to look good. Again, hopefully I didn't make it too bumpy so it's not too hard for me to cut. Got to the bottom, and the last thing I need to go ahead and do is cut this piece right here. Now, if I were going to use this, I would get an outline of my arch like my cloud. That's not the look I'm going for. I want to use my scraps, my negative piece. Now, since I've got this all put together, there's only one little cut. I can go ahead, grab a piece of tape, and I can tape this cut back together. And now I have a stencil of my rock ready to go. So that's how I get my arch ready. If you're thinking you're doing this, it's just like if you make a cloud or a mountain. I cut on the line, starting at the bottom, going around. And again, not going to use the positive space, my rock. I'm going to use the leftovers, my negative space. And that's going to help me get that space filled in. Alright, so let's do one of each. I'm going to do my rock back here. And I'm going to do my rock, that's my arch, up here. Cool. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead, pick a color for my chalk rock. I want it to be darker than the ground, so it's going to show up. Maybe I want to do 2 different colors, one color here, one color here. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and on my placemat get my edge nice and chalky. Remember to use the flat part of your chalk so you have plenty of chalk ready to drag. Do this on your placemat so you don't have chalk dust all over the place. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag down. Reminder, you start on the edge. Drag, lift up, drag. Here we go. Now, make sure you're not just doing the little edge. You want to drag down towards the center of that rock. Fill in the middle. Make sure it looks nice and blended in. Then I'm going to go ahead and remove my stencil. Nice work. So that's one big rock with no hole in the middle, no arch. This one's a little bit more complicated. Let me take away my project and work on my placemat. Be very careful because this is very fragile. I'm still going to go ahead and put chalk around my edges. I'm going to do the top edge. Notice I'm holding both parts, top and bottom, steady right now so I don't rip as I'm coloring with my chalk. So I did the outside, but I also need to do the arch on the inside. And it's nice and chalkified. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this on my project. And I have two different things I have to touch and drag. First, I'm going to go around the outside edge. Then I'm going to do the inside arch. So touch and drag. Move your fingers so that you're by where you're dragging. Make sure you're being careful. I'm always moving my hand as I'm dragging so I'm not ripping my stencil. It's very fragile. I went around my outside edge. Now I'm going to go ahead and go on my bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my inside edge. Now right now, it's really light in the center, so I want to go back, pull a little bit more chalk dust all the way into the middle. Blend it in. And pull away my stencil. There's my next arch. That looks really, really great. So now you have two great examples of different types of rocks. Go ahead and get started.